welcome to another edition of Inside the Burrow, the FEU podcast for and by Owls fans, presented by the FEUOwlsNest.com. Can you guys hear it in my voice? The somber attitude. I feel like my world has ended the past few days. Kirk, we're recording this on a Monday, just 2 days after FAU's embarrassing loss to Marshall, and I still don't feel good about it. How are you feeling? Have you recovered emotionally?
Just frustrated, I think is the word, because I think a lot of the stuff you would have signed up for, like, we stopped Marshall's, we pretty much stopped them running the ball. We caused a big turnover at the beginning. I guess minus, the kickoff return for a touch, minus that. We got out to a lead on them in the first half, and then, just everything just kind of went downhill after we jumped out to that 13-7 lead, and settling for field goals, those two drives, really bit us at the end. Just frustrating, because you can see, there's a talent on the field, but you can also see there's holes on the team as well. And I think the inconsistencies we saw earlier in the year, even in some of the games we won, really showed its ugly head against Marshall. I feel like all the concerns we had, just the inconsistency in general of this season just showed up, I think, in that 60 minutes. So,
yeah. And, I'm happy that you said that there is talent there, but there is also shown to be holes. You could say the exact same thing about Marshall. Obviously, Willie Johnson, the receiver, had a great day. Raheem Ali, we talked about him in nauseam last week about how much of a great running back. But, if you said that, yeah, you keep Ali less than 100 yards rushing, Marshall only scores 3 offensive touchdowns, and you force a turnover early, and you score early in the first quarter on top of that. If you told me that Sunday morning, I'm thinking, oh, so we're going to win. Okay. But it was just so strange because it kind of went completely against what we're used from this FAU team. Fast start and then complete dud after that. So, you mentioned that the field goal, the 2 field goals, kind of were a detriment to the team. I'm going to pose you a question. It's something I've been having in my brain. I'm ecstatic for Aaron Harry that he's growing in confidence. He's from Clearwater, so another Tampa Bay Owl, which we love to see. But do you think going for those field goals was worse than what I think was the biggest issue, which was the drops? Do you think that kind of just set the day going in the wrong direction already? Then after that you have Ford throwing up and then him being out for a quarter, and then he does come back, and then it's the fumble in the third quarter. Is that kind of what started it all, or do you think the drops were more of a detriment?
I mean, I think it's a combination. Obviously, you look at those drops; they're huge. I mean, if we make even half of them, maybe the game's changed. I don't think we make all of them, but it just seems like if we don't hit those plays on offense, our offense just they can't sustain a drive. I mean, when we scored on the first drive of the game, that was probably one of the best drives we've seen. And I don't know how long. Like, it was efficient. We schemed up some plays. I mean, we looked good on offense, and then the rest of the game kind of looked like our offense, the entire year. If Nkosi, suspect pass blocking, relying on Johnny Ford to hit a long run, relying on to hit a big pass play, which I don't think we've hit one since, I want to say, the Georgia Southern game. Like, we hit them in Georgia Southern, but now it's either like we went through a spell on, I think the Fordham game, Nkosi was overthrowing them. Then we had a couple other games where, like last or Saturday night, where we just weren't catching the ball. But it's tough to rely on those 50-yard pass plays. I mean, they're less than 50-50 balls in a lot of cases. So it's like they were there, but we haven't hit them consistently all year either. So it's like it's tough to really point to those either. Just
Yeah, and did you notice this is nothing against Wester and Burton. We're gonna put that out there because we've seen them when they're able to put it on, they can put it on. But did you notice the one deep ball that was caught? Did you see who caught it in the fourth quarter?
really right name for blast from the past. Like it's
What?
like, and that that's the other thing I would look at. It's like when it seemed like guys were struggling with confidence, why not rotate our wide receivers? Like where's TJ Chase? Where's, the guys we brought in? I mean, even DeMarcus Adams, he caught one of those against Florida earlier in the year. I mean, is it the lack of confidence in the guys who are behind them? Because just not having that wide receiver rotation, which really no one's really stepped up other than maybe Western, in the more of the intermediate game. He's been a great intermediate receiver for us, but hitting those long pass plays, it's just, they haven't been there.
And to his credit, Wester has also done really well on the short bubble screens and quick passes like that seemed to do rather well. They didn't do great on Saturday. So yeah, FAU lost 28-13 to Marshall. Definitely a big loss. The Owls are now 5-4 overall, 3-2 in the conference. Marshall is now 4-1 in the conference. They control their own destiny in the East. Currently tied with Western Kentucky, but I do believe, I'm doing math in my head. You know what? Both lost in division games. So I don't even know what the heck the tiebreaker would be. Obviously, the number one tiebreaker is going to be head to head, and we're going to talk about East Division scenarios later on. But it's just frustrating. I mean, what has happened to TJ Chase? I don't think it's a lack of trying because we know that he plays his heart out. Same goes with Really Right. Is it just a lack of wanting to do some rotation? Because we see a lot of rotation on the defense. We see a lot of that, especially at the linebacker position, especially at defensive back. Maybe not right now at corner with Moss being out, but at safety we see it. So it just makes me wonder, why not Willie Wright? Because when he's had the ball this year, he's done well. Why not TJ Chase? He doesn't really drop anything that's within a 5-yard radius of his being. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. But it's just disappointing. Again, if you told me everything that we said earlier, we're going to start off strong. Aaron Sherry is going to go 100% on a field goal, going to get an early turnover, all these things, only a few Marshall touchdowns, offensive touchdowns. I'm thinking we're going to win the dang thing. And it's just disappointing to see that didn't come to fruition because we have the talent. The talent's there. Everyone on the beat, I'm pretty sure all FAU fans have been saying that we could out-talent anybody in the conference, but we just can't put it together in a big game, whether it's UAB, whether it's Marshall. And it's frustrating because we outgained Marshall on Saturday. If you look at the stats, you're thinking that FAU was a better team, and it was a 2-possession game. I trying to told you, I called it, guys. I said it was going to be a 10-point game, obviously a little more than that. But so if Marshall fans can please get on my mentions, geez Louise. I don't want to say I'm mad. I'm just disappointed.
And disappointed, frustrated. It's just because even though it was a 2-score game, it felt like it was there for the taking. It's weird to say that, but anything that could go wrong, just not making plays, because the game was there. It's just we didn't jump on our opportunity. Too many mistakes.
And I don't want to say it's like one of those games where nothing went our way. I mean, remember Marshall did have a touchdown called back because of penalty. We penalty wise they got dinked up. Obviously, we had some as well, but we didn't have as much as they did. But again, we just couldn't make the most out of our opportunities, whether that's offensive turnovers. Ford has been really beat up about that fumble, by the way. He feels, pretty bad. So, Johnny, you'll pick it up, man. We believe in you. We know you're going to be doing great. One mistake does not make who you are. Trust me, if that was the case, then I would, me personally, I'd be in a lot of trouble. But I think Coach Taggart, he kind of said that this morning. If there's one thing that he wants the offense to learn, is just to finish drives. You know, but sometimes I would say just start drives. Way too many 3-and-outs for a team that's this talented. Reminds me of the Charlie Partridge years. I mean, those are pretty talented teams offensively. Not in no disrespect to my boys. You know, Kirk and I, you know, we've we know a lot about the Charlie Partridge era. But this team right now just oozes with talent at all skill positions, and we can't. Sometimes we can't even get a drive started, let alone finished. Forget about it, man. So, hey, before we jump into Old Dominion, I just want to say that you guys know me as the optimist. Um, Sometimes, obviously, I picked Marshall to win, but I always say, hey, you know, it's not over. There's still a chance to win the East. There is still a chance. FAU is going to have to beat Western Kentucky in Bowling Green. Yeah, it doesn't sound easy, especially with this Western Kentucky Hilltopper offense that Bailey Zappi is throwing about. But hey, like Marshall has our number, we have the Hilltoppers number. Maybe that means something. I don't think so, but hey, what the heck do I know? So who knows? West if we beat Western Kentucky, then Western Kentucky, what is it? Western Kentucky beats Marshall, right? At the end of the year. Then that puts us, let me see. Then that puts us in the driver's seat. I do believe we're going to have to win out. Oh my God, it'd be a three-way tie. It'll be a three-way tie, but it will go to us because we would have the best division record. That's going to be like tiebreaker number 3 or so. It's going to be a three-way tie with the head-to-head. Then after that is actually the first tiebreaker, beg your pardon, is the conference winning percentage. Then it's going to be the head-to-head. Then it's division record, and thankfully we would only have one divisional loss in that scenario, and that would be to Marshall. While Western Kentucky lost in the division earlier, then would lose to us. Marshall lost to Middle Tennessee earlier, then would lose to Western Kentucky. So don't call me too much of an optimist. I'm just saying that it's still out there. And I'm going to prove I'm not too much of an optimist right now because I'm not sure. Kirk, I know you saw it, man, but Owl Nation, if you didn't see the thread on the Owl's Nest, there was some conversation after the game, especially on Sunday, asking if Willie Taggart was on the hot seat. And I think it's too early to be asking that kind of question, but I can definitely understand a sense of frustration that fans might have for all the reasons we listed earlier. The team oozes with talent, and you know, last year second place in the East. This year, most likely, I think the best case scenario, not best case scenario, the most likely thing that's going to happen at this point, if you had to look at percentages, would be second place in the East again. That's not mission accomplished. And if it's 2 straight years, granted last year was crazy, but it's 2 straight years where it's mission failure, then you got to ask, right, Kirk, what's going on? So I saw you in that thread talking about it. Do you kind of want to rehash what you were saying there, maybe expand upon that a little bit?
You know, I don't know. Like the seat to me is kind of what I was when we started it. So how I kind of put it is, to me, the seat warmers have come on. You know, it's now, can we turn them off? You know, can we turn them off? You know, as it kind of cooled down in the state of Florida this week, some heat warmers may have turned on. I really think it comes down to these last 3 games. How does this team, react? You know, if we finish, if we win, go 2-1, beat ODU, maybe lose a close game in Bowling Green, beat Middle Tennessee State, go to a bowl game, see how that goes. You know, I think, it's a positive ending. And then it really moves into next year, as I think of, the final year in Conference USA is really has to me, Willie kind of has to show it's like 8-9 wins last year, Conference USA. Let's see how we, is he the right guy to bring us into the American? Where I think the seat gets hot is, maybe we win a close game at Old Dominion, lackluster. We just pull out a close one. Then we go up to Bowling Green and Bailey Zappi throws for 500 yards. We lose by, lose 56 to 30 or something like that. Really leaves a sour taste in our mouths. And then maybe we come home and we saw what Middle Tennessee State, they're not great, but, they beat Marshall this year. They've had some close games. If they come down to Boca and upset us and like all of a sudden we hit like this nuclear, we're 6-6, maybe we go to a bowl game, maybe we don't. I think the seat could be warm at that point. I think these last 3 games is just see how we respond. The things that have worried me is just the lack of it just doesn't seem like we've developed players over give it past last year, COVID year, but it's like we just haven't seen progress in a lot of positions. Let me ask you, Jack, is there anything you think we do well? Like one thing that you could pin your ears at, like we do this well on any side of the football, anyone, like, is there one thing you say we consistently do well other than maybe punt?
God, come on, that's no fun. I was about to say, yeah, Matt Hayball, literally. But I mean, obviously, the Marshall had a great punt return last week. I would say kickoffs as well because we've been able to bang it into the end zone all season long, except for Saturday we couldn't. So if you're going to take punting away from me, then I can't tell you. I don't know. Good question.
And that's like the stuff that kind of concerns me is just I was a big fan of the Willie hire. I was one of the ones who liked the hire going back to when we did it. To me, now it's like we're kind of seeing all those question marks that, even when we liked him, you knew the question marks about Willie. It's just everything about it. To me, it's like right now, it's like we don't have a Quentin Flowers to kind of bail everything out and fix those little holes that, the team might have. We don't have that player, and we're not even close to having that player. So, that's what concerns me is just, it's the guys who've taken in all the transfer players, very few of them have worked out. A lot of them aren't even playing, let alone being a difference maker. We have a few guys who are, playing, but like we haven't found difference makers. Obviously it's early in his, actual recruiting classes, but it's a lot of our takes have just been questionable the past 2 years, I would say as well.
Yeah, and that's one thing that you can say about maybe Partridge and Lane is that not only could they recruit, but they could also develop as well. And you can see that based upon how many NFL players both have produced. Even when, especially in the Partridge era, when the team wasn't as good as it could been, and I know we've all talked about that as a fan base for a long time. I gotta tell you. I think it's a great point right now. I can understand where fans might be coming from. I think it's too early to be talking about that. But hey, a loss at Norfolk against a pretty solid Old Dominion team, which is surprisingly solid. I would say maybe if I had to rank all 14 teams in Conference USA, they're probably what, 7? I mean, you think about it logically here, guy. 8, 7, maybe. So
and they've been trending upward. Like they've gotten better
absolutely
as the season's gone on too. Like this game, I would have preferred playing in September, not now. Like they've been trending upwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it's a great segue to kind of go into it because, we can say, yeah, if FAU loses this at Old Dominion, then his seat is on fire. But it's also a kind of a sneaky, tough test. Line came out. FAU is only favored by 6 points. We're going to dive into ODU real quick. They just made a change at quarterback. They have Hayden Wolf, a freshman from Venice, Florida, just south of the Bay Area. You guys might remember he replaced Daryl Mack Jr. You guys might remember him from UCF. He took over for Mackenzie Milton, right, Kirk? Once Milton had that awful injury against USF, and did rather well. So it's interesting to see that kind of change at quarterback, especially when Mac announced that he's transferring to Old Dominion. You're thinking, oh snap, there they go. But he struggled, and since they switched quarterbacks to this freshman Wolf, I mean, like you said, they've been progressing throughout the year. And one thing that really stands out to me is that stout defense that they have. FIU's offense, as we saw when we played them in the Shula Bowl, isn't an awful offense. So, okay, their running game is solid. We know that with Devontae Price. But hey, they held FIU out all right, only scoring 24 points, and Old Dominion just blew them out. I mean, 47-24 in West Miami. So they beat Louisiana Tech. They played well against Western Kentucky. They took Marshall to overtime. They only lost to 7 to UTEP in El Paso. I think it's the longest geographical trip teams can make in this conference. I it's a tough test, man. I don't know. Are you confident right now? I mean, if we weren't confident last week. I don't know how we're confident now, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of nervous here.
I mean, I think it'd almost be weird if you weren't nervous about going into this game. I mean, we still have. I mean, we we still struggled overall on the road under Taggart. Um, I mean, I haven't looked at the weather forecast what it's going to be in Virginia. I'm assuming it could be cool there this time of year. So we might be dealing with weather as a factor. Um, Team that's been trending upwards. Yeah, I mean, I think the spread that came out is pretty fair at this point, especially kind of like how, I mean, could FAU go out and win this game by 17, 21 points? The talent, yeah, it wouldn't shock me, but it also wouldn't shock me if we go there and cause, throw a couple interceptions, defense gives up a couple big plays, and then all of a sudden we lose this game 28-17 or something like that. Like, I could see that, we should win this game, but, just the lack of consistency we've had, gives me a lot of doubt going into the game as well.
I feel like we said that very thing when it came to at Charlotte hosting UTEP before the Marshall. You know what I mean? Like that's because what you said earlier, I thought was perfect. That's because there is not one thing that we can think of that we do well, where we say, all right, if we stick to this, if we give it to Motor 20 times, he's going to pop off for 5. You know what I mean? We know that if we target Harrison Bryant 7 times, he's going to score a hat trick. He's going to score 3 of those 7. Speaking of which, Old Dominion has a great tight end. Where have our tight ends been? I don't know. Zach Kunitz, he's doing great. 53 receptions for 550 yards, 4 touchdowns already this year, which is impressive for a tight end. And he's also catching a 10.4 yards a catch. So it's a tough one. I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence, and it scares me. It will be chilly. I do know that much. Up here in Asheville, North Carolina, I have no idea how far Norfolk is, but it can't be too far. It's along the coast. We're further inland in the mountains. But it's been chilly, man. We had some friends get their first bit of snow over the weekend. And shoot, and we even saw, like you said, the seat warmers are on in Florida. It was a bit chilly over this weekend as well. So does not bode well for the Owls. So all in all, do you even want to make a prediction, Kirk? I don't know, man. Maybe instead of prediction, why don't we talk about maybe one thing that you want to see either the FAU offense or the FAU defense do well. That seems to be like the trend of today's podcast. What's the one thing you really want to see the team execute on?
Well, defensively, I mean, kind of similar. I mean, ODU, looking at the numbers, Hayden Wolf or Matt comes in, they'll give us some opportunities for our DBs to make some plays and cause some turnovers. So I'd love to see us cause some turnovers and actually get some pressure on the QB. Because I feel like, especially against last week against Marshall, we weren't pressuring Wells at all. So I would love to see us get a pass rush and cause some havoc in the backfield, which will hopefully lead to some turnovers and hopefully maybe some short fields. Because that's the other thing I would say. Our offense never really gets short fields. They're having to drive 70 yards every time. So I'd love to see some turnovers, create some havoc, have some short fields for our offense, turn some quick points around. I would look, get off to a quick start. Those are the things I'd love to see this week.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the pressure. Last week, I mean, we couldn't get pressure to save our lives on Wells. You have to do that against him. That way he can make those mistakes. But I mean, dude, Marshall would rush 3 or 4 and they're in the backfield in like 2 seconds. Not even. It's frustrating, no doubt about it. N'Kosi Perry, thank goodness he's mobile so he can buy more time, but it's still not enough. So defensively, I would like to see pressure as well. Also, something that, I talked to Coach Taggart today, that the team really struggled with is open field tackles wasn't there. Now that might have been because the defensive backs are getting tired again without Moss. We are a bit short numbered in the defensive backs. But Marshall had way too many yards after the catch. There goes my flag. That's exactly like FAU football after their first quarter last week. Um, so offensively, oh man, I mean, I don't want to say catch a ball over 25 yards because that seems like it's common sense or too easy.
Or just asking too much at this point.
Or which one is it exactly?
Yeah.
So I would say some big runs. That's what I would love to see, and we kind of saw that a little bit with Ford. Ford did play well, but then the one really big run he fumbled on, which just bites to see. But it's like we saw against Charlotte. What is that? A month ago now? Jeez Louise. You get some big runs, especially early, some gashing plays. It can really open up just about anything else you want to do in the playbook. And I think if we can force the defense to respect that and then hold on to the ball while we do that, I think that'll make Perry's job a lot easier. That'll make the pressure on the receivers go off their shoulders. And I think we'll see a lot more success offensively because of that. So on that end, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do a prediction. I'm sorry, man. I understand if you don't want to. Here we go. All right. The line is FAU 6, yeah?
I think 6.5, and then what you're looking at.
All right. I will say 34-28 FAU. I think for some reason when we play on the road to, no disrespect to Old Dominion, like we've been singing their praises this episode, but when you play on the road, for some reason against lesser opponents, we've been able to do well. I mean, granted, it's only really been Charlotte, but that was our best game this season. Air Force played a great game against Army on Saturday, by the way. Oh, and flipping believable at the Texas Rangers, the baseball team, new stadium near Dallas. And obviously, the UF road game was, bad. Why can't we play UF right now? How about that? See, we're always playing someone when they're looking good. UF, I mean, after that game and after USF, they were looking great, and now they're just complete opposite of Old Dominion. Am I right?
All right. Yeah, I wish we had them in that November spot they always have. I feel like that'd be right for the taking right now. But
yeah, especially like we did a few years ago with Partridge.
Exactly, that's not exactly that spot. So I'll give a prediction. I will say I think FAU will win. I mean, let's hope so, because I mean, I do think if we lose to Old Dominion, you're going to see, I think you'll see a lot of, myself maybe included, might be ready to start looking to, jump and, obviously we'll hit a lot of overreaction and a lot of worrisome owls. So, a win is needed. So I'll say FAU wins. I don't know if it's going to be as high scoring as that because I just don't know about our offense. I could see it being, I'll go FAU 28, Old Dominion 17. I just don't. We haven't played a high scoring game really. I think we got too used to the lane years too, so it's different. So yeah, I think 28-17 probably see the under hit again like we did against Marshall. Yeah,
that's fair. And I think against an Old Dominion defense that's playing as well as they are right now, I think that's absolutely fair. I think a low-scoring game is more likely than a high-scoring game. But I don't know. I just feel like the offense is really ready to just get out there and explode. So fingers crossed. But yeah, loss and things could get toxic quickly, which is never, ever a good time. Kirk, you and I have had our fair share of that over FAU football in the past, FAU basketball. Let's see. The Buccaneers before they were good. It goes on and on. You never want to see that. So hopefully better days are ahead. We'll have to root against Marshall and Western Kentucky for the time being, which you guys know I don't have any issues with doing. But if not that, then I'll have to root for Western Kentucky to upend Marshall at the end of the year. I think that's going to be Thanksgiving, the Saturday or Friday of Thanksgiving. So one to keep our eye on if we're still in it. Got to take it one game at a time. So that all being said, Kirk, thanks again for coming on. Did you lose a bet? I know you're wearing your Regions polo, but I mean that's a Kelly Marshall green, man. I don't know, man.
I realized that right before we started, and I was like, man, because I just got home from work, needed to jump on the computer, and I'm like, man, I'm wearing the wrong color right now. So bad time with the color. So let's say I lost the bet just in my own head.
yeah, we lost a bet with ourselves. Marshall owns us. It is what it is, but we own more rings. So, what can you do?
There you go.
There you go. The age-old argument with that one. So, hopefully we'll come back on next weekend, a much happier Parliament of Owls. You guys, I'm going to say it again. Y'all already know the deal. This episode will go live on the Owl's Nest and on YouTube on Tuesday, Apple Podcasts and Spotify on Wednesday. So can't wait to talk to you then. I'm nervous. Don't forget to tweet at us, by the way, guys, Inside the Burrow. Let us know if you're nervous as well. Kirk, anything you want to sign off with?
Hopefully we have something more positive to talk about next week. Let's go with that.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Real quick, you guys know I'm a big basketball guy. Hey, the Dusty Owls, that doesn't sound right. Dusty Mays Owls, we're going to start the season on Wednesday, going to Albuquerque to play New Mexico, who's traditionally a pretty strong program. Then we're going to host Warner for the season opener, Saturday, November 13th. But then the following Tuesday, it's a big one. We're hosting UM. I'm not sure if we've ever hosted UM at the wonderful, majestic palace that is the FAU Burrow. So should be a pretty solid year for the Owls. No, you guys are probably so tired of me saying that, but we're always seeing progression with Dusty May at the helm so far. So hopefully that can continue. Best of luck to the basketball team this year. So all in all, there we go. We're good. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Like Kirk said, hopefully next week we'll be a lot happier. If not, we'll see. Thanks again, guys, and go Owls.